today, I want to begin the program by talking about something interesting that went on between Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson on Tuesday night during their handoff. Every night, Tucker Carlson on Fox News Channel hands off to Sean Hannity for the next show. And in cut two, here is how that handoff went on that includes both Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson.
And now, Sean Hannity takes over from New York.
People can make money. They provide goods and services people want, need, and desire. That's America. It's called freedom, capitalism, and as long as it's honest, right? People decide. All right, Tucker, great show. Welcome to Hannity.
That was the handoff. A little slight by Sean Hannity against Tucker Carlson for the previous segment. This was picked up by the Daily Caller. Let's put up pick one. On Twitter, the Daily Caller made this note. Tucker Carlson ended his show by criticizing the fact that Jeff Bezos has gotten richer during the pandemic. Hands off to Sean Hannity, who refutes him. Then here in cut two, Sean Hannity goes ahead and responds. Actually, I think the Daily Caller proceeded to tweet out the full segment that preceded the handoff, and we will show some of that in a moment. But after that tweet, then Sean Hannity puts out this apology on Twitter in pick two. Hannity says, quote, "I apologize for any misunderstanding to Tucker and the Fox audience. I support freedom and capitalism, not people taking advantage of a pandemic. If I see such evidence, I will obviously condemn it." So what was this segment that Hannity was basically critical of during the handoff? Let's take a look here to a couple of parts of this segment, the beginning and the end in cut one.
Coronavirus shutdowns, whether they were necessary or not, have indisputably crushed huge parts of the American economy. Millions of Americans remain out of work. Many more are draining their savings once the government stops paying a huge portion of the population to stay at home. We don't know what will happen. But at least one person has become extremely rich, richer than any man in history, from all of this, including a lot of the suffering. That would be Amazon CEO, Democratic donor, owner of the Washington Post, Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos, just yesterday, made $13 billion. Now, 20 years ago, if that had happened, if a captain of industry had made $13 billion in a single day while the country got poorer, the Democratic Party would have had something to say about it. Not anymore, because the people getting rich are members of the Democratic Party. Chadwick Moore is not. He's an editor at Spectator USA. We're happy to have him on tonight. Chadwick, thanks so much for coming on. I'm not against wealth accumulation. I'm not against free enterprise. But $13 billion in a day suggests something is skewed with the system, no? Really quick, I was confused when Bezos personally bought a garbage publication like the Washington Post. Now I'm thinking it was pretty smart PR. Buy the paper so you never get criticized.
Well, and it's a cabal, because then the rest of the papers won't criticize them because they're all in the same game together, especially in an election year. So why would they dare criticize the owner of one of their allies to help get their man into office?
One thing about Jeff Bezos, not stupid. I'm not a fan, but you got to say he's pretty smart.
No.
Chadwick Moore, great to see you tonight. Thank you so much.
So that was not all of that segment that Tucker Carlson did with Chadwick Moore, but Chadwick went ahead after that first part and focused in on the Democratic Party and how they are with these big, wealthy Dem donors and so forth. But what struck me was the language that Tucker Carlson used. Just yesterday, Jeff Bezos made $13 billion during a pandemic. $13 billion in one day shows that something must be skewed with the system. No? So Hannity does his little rebuttal at the end during the handoff. Let's play that one more time. Cut two.
Beyond our capability. Have a great night. And now, Sean Hannity takes over from New York.
People can make money. They provide goods and services people want, need, and desire. That's America. It's called freedom, capitalism, and as long as it's honest, right? People decide. All right, Tucker, great show.
So that's Sean Hannity. And put up his apology one more time, please. Nathan Matoush, working the Matoush Magic, producer extraordinaire. Sean Hannity's apology on Twitter. I apologize for any misunderstanding to Tucker and the Fox audience. I support freedom and capitalism, not people taking advantage of a pandemic. If I see such evidence, I will obviously condemn it. Let me make something clear. If Sean Hannity was going to make an apology, it should have been for rebutting Tucker Carlson without giving him a chance to respond. It should not have been for misunderstanding, because he didn't misunderstand a single thing. Tucker Carlson, on a supposedly conservative network, was saying there is something wrong or immoral or unjust or inappropriate or skewed with the system for Jeff Bezos, for his wealth, to be increased by $13 billion in a day. Now, keep in mind, this is stock value that we are talking about, which is why I put out this tweet on Twitter. At Sean Hannity, I saw no evidence presented by Tucker Carlson in the preceding segment that Jeff Bezos increased his wealth by $13 billion in one day, surely through his share of Amazon stock, solely by, quote, taking advantage of a pandemic. You were 100% right in what you said. That said, the observation by Tucker and his guest about the Democratic Party today was definitely rather humorous. So Hannity was right in his critique. He was 110% right. This is the market at work. You may not like the idea of somebody getting $13 billion richer from wealth in a day, but Amazon stock, I checked, I think it went up like 10% on Monday. It had a pretty strong day for Amazon on Monday. And that is how Jeff Bezos increases his wealth, because people decided to invest more in Amazon. It's not that he did something corrupt or that he's taking advantage of the pandemic. Why is Sean Hannity sort of genuflecting here to people on Twitter and apologizing for a statement that was right? If anything, an apology could have been said by Sean Hannity. I'm sorry that I made a comment critical of Tucker or critical of a certain viewpoint, making this claim, and he didn't get a chance to respond in kind because it was the handoff to my show. That is something he could have apologized for, if he was going to apologize. Not for misunderstanding. Please, Nathan, put up Hannity's tweet one more time. The thing that is just so perplexing to me, given this, why is it that Sean Hannity is apologizing for misunderstanding when he was absolutely correct? This is the market at work. And by the way, Amazon stock went up, I think, about 6.5% on Monday. But the point is, it went up a sizable amount. And Jeff Bezos was majority shareholder of that company. So, of course, his wealth is going to increase. There's nothing skewed with the system. Amazon, in fact, let me make this very clear. How many of us got through the pandemic without ordering something from Amazon at least a few times? A friend of mine told me his mother's in her 90s. And she had no clue what Amazon was until the pandemic, and then she started becoming a regular customer. Amazon isn't taking advantage of a pandemic. Yes, it's benefiting from the fact that people have to be home and then have their goods and services delivered to them. Amazon is providing people the opportunity to access things that they wouldn't otherwise be able to access. Are we going to criticize Grubhub or DoorDash for having more customers buy more services, have more food, having more food delivered to their homes? Nonsense. This is how the system works in capitalism, and it is working exactly right. You may not like Jeff Bezos. I think there's a lot to criticize about the man, but not his business. What he's done, especially during this pandemic, is provide services, provide goods, things to people in need. And his company's done a fine job with that. If he makes $50 billion tomorrow, I won't shed a tear. Instead, I'll cheer. Because I know the value that Amazon has been providing for its customers. And that is not something that we should lose sight of in this country, especially if we value free market capitalism. You just watched a clip from Jimmy at the Crossroads. Don't miss more engaging, intelligent talk. Subscribe to the Jimmy at the Crossroads YouTube channel today. You want to catch our live show. And I love your support.
I got Jimmy at the crossroads, making sense out of no sense. Yeah.